that certain individual or community was historically oppressed are getting this help by society. So let me just tell you, the burden of the opposition today was to prove to the House why this is the best way, why affirmative action is the only way, and why affirmative action is the best and only way for everyone across the world, which they have to do so. Thank you so much, sir.
The third speaker from the opposition.
My name is Abhir Mehta. Being the concluding speaker for today's debate, it is my responsibility to remove the blindfold which the proposition has put over the audience's eyes. Now, firstly, thank you for the second and the third speaker for giving just two examples which are not related to India or not pertaining to India, but it is very evident that the proposition has completely restricted their arguments on the Indian perspective. They aren't even aware of the present situation in the United States, and I will just clarify that in a moment. Now, I would just want to shift focus of the entire audience to this one aspect of affirmative action, which is called race-based integration. Now, what is the goal of race-based integration? What is its objective? Why do countries like the United States of America and the United Kingdom, especially countries like England and the United Kingdom, have recognized the importance of race-based integration over economic criteria for providing affirmative action? It's a very simple reason. It's racial integration of minorities and disadvantaged groups. So what this means, they have realized the necessity for this to dismantle the current barriers on these disadvantaged groups who suffer from an unjust availability of opportunity, and it is also to create a democratic civil society. Now,
POI, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, are you aware that the United Kingdom has banned protective discrimination?
The United Kingdom, I'm very sorry, has banned protective discrimination, agreed, but they haven't banned positive discrimination. Now, I'll be coming to that in just a moment. Now, what I was saying was...
POI, sir?
Yes, please.
Are you aware those are the same thing?
I'll just come to that in a
okay,
moment.
Sure. I'll wait.
In a moment, please. Now, the first speaker very clearly stated the fact that these disadvantaged groups, these minorities, they have always been on the fringes. They have, throughout their arguments, very elusively pointed to the fact that yes, they are disadvantaged, yes, they are economically disadvantaged, so we should have an economic criteria to uplift them. But they have failed to analyze the very important reason. Why do we have sons of sweepers becoming sweepers for many generations to come? Why colorfully emphasized on the fact that now is the time to scrap affirmative action. If we scrap affirmative action now, when its benefits have not been completely achieved, when it has not completely fulfilled its objective, what do? The governments have just...
POI, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, your speakers enlightened the hall on how affirmative action has existed for over 60 years now. Do you not believe that a policy which has not worked for 60 years is not efficient enough and needs change?
I will just come to that in two more lines. Okay, I'll just come to that right now. Now, it's a very important fact to realize that countries like the United States of America and the United Kingdom, once again, they are actively changing their affirmative action policies. Now, we had the second speaker asking me a point of information that yes, they have banned some form of discrimination. Yes. So they have banned preferential discrimination. Now, I would just like to make the audience realize, make you guys realize the fact that there are very two important things which all such countries, including countries like India, who have been constantly changing their affirmative action policies, have realized. A, the founding ideals of affirmation have not yet completed their goals. Yes, I agree, they can be, now the proposition says that they have elusively pointed to the fact that yes, there are exceptions to all cases, and even we cannot deny this incontrovertible truth that yes, there are exceptions and yes, there are defects to all cases. And that is why we have a scope for improvement. We have countries improving these. In the year 2005, the University of Texas at Austin had a major case in the Supreme Court regarding affirmative action. And 7 years down the line, 7 years after that, in 2012, the United States of America very actively changed their policy. So what this is, race-based integration has played a very pivotal role in such situations. This is what is very important to realize. Integration is not conceived as a short-term remedy or a long-term remedy. It's actually conceived a remedy for ending racial disintegration, and for it's pertaining largely to the disadvantages of these disadvantaged groups. Now, I would also like to say that the proposition have very elusively and very boldly boldly said that we should have economic criteria in place of affirmative action. But they have, once again, as I reiterated before, they have failed to realize the fact that these economic criteria, these economic depravities in disadvantaged groups are very positively because of the historical discrimination that has been continuing till the 21st century.
POI, sir.
2016. Denied, please. Now, the second speaker said that women don't fall under the ambit of affirmative action. And they, in their definition, the second speaker was repeatedly quoting the definition of affirmative action, which is to give preferential treatment to historically or currently disadvantaged groups. But weren't women historically disadvantaged? Denied, please. Now, if they say we have to remove affirmative action, and they say that we are basing our arguments on assumptions, so let's talk about reality. People, if we remove affirmative action, we'll be having people suffering because of the historic disadvantages, the historic prejudices. Now, what is the fact that the second speaker said that these disadvantaged groups are disadvantaged because of an accident of birth? But I would just like to say, why make people suffer because of this accident of birth? It is right now, it is not the time to scrap affirmative action. Now, they have said that it's neither the correct way, neither the wrong way, but they haven't really said that it's not a way. Now, also there's an important fact that the debate right now has been going on and has been criticizing. Both sides have been, especially the proposition, they have been contradicting only the historical model of this affirmative action. Now, the current model, which as I have been repeatedly quoting, has been improvised by countries like the USA and UK, is based on an integrated scheme. Now, what this is, that the present model of affirmation, it's under strict scrutiny, which is very important to realize. They have very guilely avoided that fact. It's under strict scrutiny, and it's focused on promoting 3-4 things. The first of them, and the most important of them, is equality of opportunity in relation to jobs and education. And as I have been focusing throughout my entire debate, it's focused on promotion of racial integration. Now, the third speaker, while I was just scribbling down notes, he emphasized in a very colorful manner on the fact that it's a blanket solution, that affirmative action is a blanket solution according to us. It's not, and right now is not the time to scrap it. Thank you.